It's Kevin Kietzman, Uncanceled, on 95.7 FM, KCMO Talk Radio.
Good morning, Kansas City. Welcome to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio 95.7 FM. I'm Kevin Kietzman on a freezing cold Monday, where we're all trying to thaw out from the storm we had over the weekend that Gary Lezak nailed perfectly on this broadcast Friday. He said, no, it's not going to the high end. It's going to fizzle out. It's going to be light. We got about 4 inches, I think, at my house. You probably got about the same, depending on where you live. It was fun. It's pretty snow. I'm okay with this. I don't like winter. I don't really like the snow, but this wasn't that much of a hassle. It didn't turn to too many icy conditions. It was easy to remove from my sidewalks and driveway, and except for my dog, who has very precious paws, he doesn't like walking in it because it gets between his paw pads. And he freaks out a little bit, but he's a princess. Yes, I said he is a princess. Yes, indeed he is. Other than that, it is all okay. So we're here for you this week. There's nobody out there. School closings. This feels like a holiday. It's like Martin Luther King Jr. Day twice. Yeah, like we had two of them, or President's Day, or one of those things. There's nobody out there.
Yeah, it's MLK 2.0.
There you go.
Easy.
It definitely feels like a holiday. It feels like a holiday here in this building today. It is not, to my knowledge, a holiday. And we've got a great show lined up for you today. Coming up in 30 minutes, a new media outlet debuted today in America, somewhere in one state, to serve 39 million people. And this is a really interesting story, and it's a victory. I think it's a win for the right and a great signal for journalism and media in America going forward. Pretty cool stuff. We got a couple of local kids that were in high school, one as recently as last year, the other about 5 years ago, that made national and international news this weekend. Not people you've necessarily heard of. They're both in sports. One is probably going to be the player of the week in college basketball. The other made the Olympic team this weekend as a bobsledder. Okay, we're going to get into all that today on Uncanceled. We start with what everybody's talking about. Well, there's two things. The weather, I already touched on that. It's over. We got sunshine. It's cold. Be careful. You know, what you really want to do is get on social media and watch the Mayor Q video. This is how you should start your week. It was 2 below this morning or whatever. Mayor Q does a walk and talk, and he likes to make these videos. And I'm not bad-mouthing that in any way. But he's walking and talking outside in the frigid cold, telling people to not go outside in the frigid cold. Democrats. I mean, only Democrats. He's outside. He's frozen up. He's got Mark Van Sickle's headgear on, the whole thing. He's all bundled up. Mark wears it inside. He's got his Seahawks toque on today. It's good. But the mayor's walking, saying, oh, it's cold. Be careful. We cleared the roads. We did a good job. He wasn't bragging hard. They did a nice job. This was, in all fairness, these workers work tirelessly. They're out there. They're grinding. They did an unbelievable job. As snowstorms go, this was the easy one. It wasn't particularly windy, and it wasn't wet snow. This is a good one. So everybody seemed to have success, and we came through this okay. But as he's doing this, that's not the real reason he's outside in the cold telling you to not go outside in the cold. He's telling people in Minneapolis to go outside in the cold. He wants to talk about ice on the roads in Kansas City and ice in Minneapolis, as in federal agents. And so he's walking around saying, we got to stop this thing. And now we've learned this morning he and about, looks like 40 or 50 other mayors around America, led by Michelle Wu of Boston, have filed a lawsuit against the federal government. What on earth business do the mayors of Boston and Kansas City have to do with filing some sort of a suit against the feds because of something happening in Minneapolis? I must be missing something here. This thing's out of control. Jacob Fry, the mayor up there, is loco. We've seen him. He's a small-time player. Tim Walz loves all this because nobody's talking about his fraud and the fact he's being investigated for fraud. Bill Clinton is making ginormous statements on how this is outrageous because he doesn't want anybody asking. Yeah, I think he's going to be there. I think he's going to be in D.C. this week in front of some people. He skipped it last week, a subpoena to appear on the Epstein thing, but I think he's got some official business he got subpoenaed to do this week. He's doing anything he can to try just build. All the Democrats need this story. They need this. They need more people getting shot. They need this, or they wouldn't be saying what they're saying. So this is a terrible comparison. I don't want to do this, but look, Americans, when it comes to entertainment, we're pretty far out there with what entertains us, but we're not the worst. Like the Romans used to, fill the Colosseum and put lions in there and put a criminal in there, and they'd watch the lion just kill and eat the human for entertainment, for sport. Like, hey, it's lunchtime. Let's go to the Colosseum. See who's getting devoured today. I mean, it's sick. But in a weird sort of way, when you have all these people in authority, positions of power, reaching out to people with no life that are on the internet all day, and this is very orchestrated. They're finding the deepest, darkest places of the web. Think of what they talk about on the right, the Proud Boys, whatever these things may be on the right, that they're people that get hardened. They're on the internet all day. They believe every conspiracy theory, whatever. These people are reading this stuff and hearing this all day, and now it's orchestrated. They're geo-tracking it instantaneously and saying exactly where this was. It was a donut shop. It was a call to action. This thing was, it's surgical. It's being funded by somebody with some real high tech and a lot of people working on it. Now, these aren't the people that are going to go out in the cold. They're not going to go do it. You're not going to see Tim Walz out there holding a sign, freezing his fingers off. You're not going to see that. The people in power, the authorities like that, love to tell the other people to go do it, those that are a little bit deranged, that maybe have a sad life and think they can find something, really good in their life by believing they're doing something to help somebody else that they think is a victim, because they're told that the illegal criminals here are victims somehow, and they believe it, because some people will believe anything. They believe it. Politicians aren't going out. The tech people and the people that are funding all this aren't going out in the cold. They're not going to go do it. So what do we have? For political purposes, they're staging entertainment for all of us. That's what it is. It's on every channel. It's every scroll of every social media platform. It's all anybody's talking about is how this stuff is going down. And I'm with a friend yesterday, and he's conservative. And he said, it might just be time to pull out of there. This is ridiculous. And I immediately said, no. If you do, they win. And you've told them it's okay, and they'll start doing it in other cities and say, well, they're not going to come do anything to us. You can't. You just can't. You have to stay on this. And Trump knows that. He's sending Tom Homan in now, which is a good idea, I think, although Tom Homan doesn't look to me like the great negotiator. He's what Tom Homan's like, here's the law, and we're applying it. And you see these four fingers that I have? I'll tuck my thumb away. Pick one. And you know which finger that's Tom Homan. That's how he operates. So I don't think this is some kind of a soft touch sending Tom Homan in. But it's probably about what Pete was just talking about. The people that are working there, that maybe they think they're losing the PR battle. Kristi Noem screwed up over the weekend, whatever. The good news is America was affected by a wild storm the last 3 or 4 days. Nobody paid attention to any of the fallout in Minneapolis. They just know that this guy was shot and killed. And again, I'm more than willing to say however many tens of thousands of people or hundreds, whatever's listening right now to this audience, I'm more than comfortable saying that if you're listening to this show, you've never packed a 9mm full of bullets and 2 more magazines on your person and gone and confronted federal agents in the street packing such heat. I'm going to guess nobody listening to this right now has done that. I haven't done it. It's not something I think about. I'm going to guess you've never rammed a car into a federal agent. Yes, the law is losing the narrative. This one is really simple. The law is very easy. A guy named Mike Swanson, who I have a great respect for, he was Royals vice president of communications for many years. Good man, nice guy, unbelievably great at his job. Posted some unfortunate things last night about Kristi Noem and, they're liars and they're all going to lie. And I'm like, okay. So I posted back. I said, what lie? This is really easy. I said, you spent your career riding around in buses in motorcades with police escorts at a workplace where off-duty police officers with guns were keeping you safe. There are armed KC, Missouri police in the Royals dugout. Every game, every day, they're in there. My point to Swanee was this. At what point did you get in their way and try to stop them and resist them? You didn't. Therefore, you've never been shot and killed. You never brought a 9mm to Kauffman Stadium and got in the face of the cop in the dugout. If you had, it wouldn't have gone well for you. At the very best, you would have been taken down, arrested, and fired. But you didn't do that. Where do these Democrats, these liberals sit at home and they post this stuff? Like, no. You can't defend somebody doing something as stupid as ramming a car into an agent or bringing a 9mm with 51 bullets and confronting an officer. You can't support them if you haven't done it yourself and you're not willing to do it yourself. And you're not willing to do it. So what is it with these sick Democrats that sit back and say, I'm going to inspire somebody else to go get hurt today? Or God only knows how many hundreds of these people are going to wind up in prison. These are federal crimes. They're felonies. They're getting arrested. They're going to be charged with serious crimes, and they're going to do real prison time. There's going to be hundreds. And so the politicians and Mayor Q filing his lawsuit against federal, we're all just going to sit back and let our little worker bees go out here and do their thing. Okay, a bunch of them are going to go to jail. Many of them will get hurt. Some of them could get frostbite, and a couple have been killed. But you know what? It's all okay because we hate Trump. What are you doing to your own voters? If you want proof that the Democrats hate you because you're conservative, look how they treat their own. They're like, you know what? We got a whole bunch of people that vote for us that are really freaking stupid. And if we tell them to go do this stuff, it's probably going to get a little out of control. And that's okay, because it'll make Trump look bad. Yeah, we lost Renee Good. We lost this nurse guy. He was carrying a gun. It was legal. His gun was legal. He didn't take a rock to a gunfight. No, he went and got up on a federal agent all loaded for bear. I don't care what happens from that point. You're an idiot. You're stupid. You've got something wrong with you. Nobody listening to this show has ever confronted a cop like that. Ever. If you do, you got taken down, you wind up in jail or prison or shot. One or the other. Just don't. And I can't believe how poorly they treat their own voters. And that's what this is about, by the way. Trump is deporting their voters in big cities in record numbers all over America. This is systematically, it's not election interference, it's election cleanup. We know these illegal people have voted. We know that they turn the other way in their own jurisdictions. It's obvious as hell they don't care what these people do. There was an unbelievable post. It said, avoidable tragedies. And it listed Renee Good and the dude that got shot up this weekend, Alex Preddy. Okay. And then it listed 150 other people of names you haven't heard of American citizens that died at the hands of illegal aliens. It said those were avoidable too. If we had closed borders, they wouldn't have happened. The difference? Renee Good went looking for confrontation. Alex Preddy went looking for confrontation. And these 150 people on this list that have been killed by illegal aliens that Biden let in weren't looking for any trouble. They were minding their own business, living their own life, and got murdered by people that shouldn't have been here. We've lost all reality and context on this story. The media's run this narrative, and the Democrat politicians keep doing it because you know why? Owning the narrative and hurting Trump is more important than keeping their voters safe. They don't care. Honest truth is, these neighborhoods in Minneapolis, they don't care if there's gang members from Chandaragua down there selling drugs, killing people, doing whatever. They don't care. They'll lose a couple voters that way, but Trump has, what they say they've got, 30-some thousand already from Minneapolis out of there. That's a big number. That could swing a statewide election, couldn't it? I mean, they're deporting people and getting them out of there and arresting them like crazy in these big cities. And that's all this is about, including Mayor Q in his walk and talk and his lawsuit with Michelle Wu from Boston and all these other mayors. It's theater. Mayor Q would be so proud. Oh, my God. He would never say this publicly. He'd be so proud if a couple hundred people just started, picketing somewhere, or they geo-circulated where to go in Kansas City and started doing that in Kansas City, Missouri. They would Mayor Q would be so proud. And then if there was an incident where he could get the stage like Jacob Fry, oh, my God, I guarantee you he's telling his wife, man, if it could just happen, this could be my ticket to the big time. If I could just get out there like Jacob Fry and become famous because it's happening here. He's calling you to help. He's making videos saying, he's not saying violent. He's saying peaceful. Have your voice heard, all these things. These videos are all like, I'm calling you out, Kansas City. We got to stand up for our brothers in Minneapolis. That's right. We need more chaos here. 913-408-7957, the number to call. This is Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. One of the other things about confronting these agents is Americans are very comfortable they inherently know these agents are not going to harm them until they lost their mind. Like he's standing there, standing up to ICE, and now he's down on the ground. I don't know why he's fighting against all these other officers. At any moment, you just put your hands up and let them have you. It's over. You're going to get a fine. They're going to release you later in the afternoon, and we'll see what happens from there. But they don't. They want to keep fighting, or they want to try to drive off, and they hit the officers. They're doing it, as Renee Good did. They're so comfortable confronting these people because they know these people are not going to harm them. What they don't factor in is, if I go do this and confront them and call them terrible names and scream at them, I may actually lose my own mind and do something stupid. And if you lose your own mind and do something stupid, you're in big trouble with these people. But the reason this happens in America and not other countries is everybody in Minneapolis is like, I'll go say whatever I want to these people. They're not going to touch me. They're not going to hurt me. You know that. The only way you're going to be in trouble with them is if you physically do something to them. And I'm sorry, at that point, you're asking for it. You're just flat out asking for it. And that's pretty much where we are in this thing. It's crazy. And I'm rooting for this detention center in Kansas City. They got $80 million to build all this stuff over the 190 acres or whatever they have. This giant company's worth almost $4 billion in holdings in Kansas City. And they got $80 million from Port KC, and a lot of that was federal money. And now the feds are like, well, we poured it into this thing. Let's go get this and use it as a detention center. And Mayor Q's losing his mind, and Port KC and all these people, Jackson County. Manny Abarca's making videos. This is one of my favorites. This company also got almost $4 million of federal COVID money back in the day. Like, this company's really good at getting money out of the government and building things. And now they're turning around and doing business with the government. Sounds like that's what they do. You would think Democrats would love this as much as they love government. And all of the redundancies in government, which is what this is. The feds, Port KC, Mayor Q, Jackson County, COVID money, it's all right there. Yeah, we're worried about star bonds in Kansas. When this stuff's going on, we don't even know what kind of a grift this was for this company until they decide to give it to the feds. Amazing. I'm rooting for them. Put that Fed facility in there. Let's go. We got Wes in Gladstone this morning. Hi, Wes. How are you today?
Hey, good, Keith. Yeah, I agree with what you're saying. And my question has always been and always will be, if this guy was going to go out and peacefully protest, why did he think he needed to take his concealed carry and two extra magazines, okay? When you get a concealed carry, you have a responsibility. Okay, it's a huge responsibility. You need to take it very seriously. Apparently, this guy didn't. He thought, I have a concealed carry. I can just take this anywhere that I want to go. No, you can't drink and have it. You can't go into establishments that have that sign that say no concealed carry, okay?
Yeah, and it's not a very good idea to confront Border Patrol or ICE agents with a gun on you either. And look, this is exactly the time you leave your gun at home. If you're going to go peaceful protest, leave your gun at home. That's exactly the time.
Right. I got a concealed carry because I was doing inspections from the hood on both sides of the river in St. Louis down to the redneck parts of the state of Missouri, okay? And sometimes I was like, you know what? This situation doesn't look right, so I'm going to carry it, okay? And that's the only reason I did. Now, this guy, I'm going to go out and I'm going to peacefully protest. Here's the funny part, though.
Well, we got about 10 seconds, buddy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Lefties would not let this guy have a gun, period.
Right.
And he's out there protesting with
And now they're proud of him. They're defending his gun rights. Thank you, buddy. Excellent call, as always. I appreciate that. They're defending his rights to own a gun. You can't. The Democrat, they just don't ever stay with one position. All right, we come back. A new media outlet. This is a big deal. Next. This one sort of came out of nowhere. The California Post has debuted today. If you've heard of the New York Post, you may follow it. I go to the New York Post every day. I read something from the New York Post. I follow them on X. They're a conservative newspaper in New York that still prints a few papers, but they're the ones that's famous for the unbelievable front page covers and headlines with the shocking stories. It almost looks like a tabloid. But it's conservative in the way it reports its news, and they do a lot. Page 6 is a big deal. It's entertainment news and things like that. They have launched in California for 39 million people that live in California, the fourth largest economy in the world. They said, we are not doing this for journalists or prizes or awards. We're doing it for real people. that have common sense and want accountability. This is going to work. The New York Post is making way more money than the New York Times at this point. And I would venture to say if the Kansas City Star, which is circling the drain, if this is Post Media that is starting this up, if the New York Post went around to, like the Pittsburgh paper just went under, the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette just went out of business. They just shuttered it 2 weeks ago. They just closed it. If Post Media went around and bought these infrastructures of what they have built out and, whatever it may be, and started operating in major cities, not as far left loons, and ran a real newspaper, I think they'd be successful again. I think that, look, the newspaper industry's declined. Everybody knows that. But they're doing so much harm to themselves by what they've become. The people that believe what they believe won't read the newspaper. They need people in other areas that want to catch the news. Or, sports is probably the biggest thing the Kansas City Star does. It's probably their biggest moneymaker is covering sports. That would be my guess. And maybe weather. Things like that on their website. But this will be interesting to see. If the California Post is successful, where do they go next? I don't think this Post Media Corporation is going to stop. If they're making money and they're going to start buying up and building newspapers around the country to compete against all the liberal rags that are in all these cities, I'm all for it. Count me in. All right, let's go back to the phone. Scott in Lawrence has been waiting. Hi, Scott. Good morning. How are you, sir?
Kevin, I'm well, thank you. I'm not a betting man, but I think smart money is on the Seahawks at the Super Bowl. But it's not why I called. I was thinking about this. I have a daughter who is about 33. And, well, not about, she is 33. She'll be 34, regardless. But it seems like there's something that's infected this generation in that age group, and this gentleman in Minnesota is roughly that same age group. People they come to the conclusion they do not have to follow police instruction.
Right.
For some reason, and one of my favorite, this sounds silly, but one of my favorite entertaining things to do is get on YouTube and look at these videos of traffic stops where, no, I'm not getting out of my car. Person, I need you to exit the car. We're going to do a speed spray. No, I'm not getting out. They absolutely refuse. They have to the police have to break the windows, and then they're screaming, I know my rights. I know my rights.
Right, yeah.
It's stupid.
It may be generational. I think it's more ideological than anything else, personally, but it could be generational. I think one of the problems that they have on the left is the education system's complicit in this, and so are the media, for sure. And I would venture to say this: like, I don't wake up every day thinking I'm smarter than a liberal about anything other than my opinions. I think my opinions. I just think I'm right about this stuff. I know what the law is. I know you don't interfere with cops, and I would never publicly tell. Like, imagine what would happen on this radio show if I compelled the audience to go get in the way of law enforcement. What kind of crap show that would be, and what kind of story that would be if I did that. Yet the politicians do it, and the people on the left, I think they're different. I think they're actually taught and believe that they're more intelligent than we are. They think we're stupid. And I don't really think they're stupid. I just think they're wrong. I think they're misguided. I think that some of them have mental health problems. But I just think they're flat wrong. I don't necessarily look at a liberal and think, well, that's a dumb person. They're highly educated. They got all kinds of PhDs.
Right. Well,
but they don't have. But they don't have a PhD in real life. I think ultimately is their problem. They don't understand what you can and can't do. And the one thing you can't do is go confront federal agents. It's just not something you can do. Here's Bill in Bates County on Uncanceled. Good morning, Bill.
Morning, sir. I just was listening to this whole thing and going back in my lifetime. I'm a Vietnam veteran. And I remember watching the movie before we left shore that we're going to go to Vietnam and fight the commies. And okay, and all right, I made it back, thank God. I know a lot of people didn't. But just the propaganda, the BS they put out, get us to understand that we need to fight this communism. Then reading that we wanted Kai Chek to adopt the Communist Coalition form of government, and he wouldn't do it, so we helped create Red China and fought him 2 years later in Korea and again in Vietnam. And these people up there in Minnesota are being cheered on by guys that are sitting in their own little suites like in a football game.
That's exactly right.
In the warmth, paying the money out. A guy named Singham, Singham, has pumped money into it. George Soros pumps money into it. And they got to find these people like this this nurse who got his college degree, I think, to save lives, and takes off up there to become a hero or to commit suicide?
Well,
come on now.
I think we're in agreement. You know, these people that are out on the streets they're expendable to the Democrats. They're like there's useful idiots out there that will go do this stuff for us and advance our cause and make it look like we're all victims and get sympathetic. I'm telling you, it was a moment for me yesterday. This is a lifelong friend I was with, and he's conservative, and he was like, maybe we should just get out of there. I'm like, no, that's what they want. You can't let them have this one. You can't. Trump's got to double, triple, quadruple down, whatever he's got to do. What they really need to do, okay, is they need to pursue more legal action against these politicians not following the law. Like the governor, by not having Minneapolis authorities on the streets and following the law and working with federal authorities, this can't be legal. There's no way. They've got to find a way to force that. And let's be honest. If Walz and Fry had a news conference today and said, okay, we've gone too far. We're going to put the Minneapolis police down there. We're bringing in the sheriff's department, the county, and some state officials are coming in. We're going to be in the streets with the federal agents. Go home. All right, take a chill pill. Forget about this thing. De-escalate it. Let's be bigger than them. Let's stand down, post what you want, say what you want, put a sign at your house, whatever you want to do, but let's stop. Get out of the streets. Let them do their work. We can't stop them. Let them do it. If they said that today, it's over, but they won't say that.
Yeah, this was a page taken right out of the communist playbook of the 1960s.
Yeah, it is.
It's the same blankety blank crap.
Yep. Sir, thank you for your service, man. I appreciate you.
All right.
Very much. And I understand why that's such a personal issue for him. He's seen it up close, saw it play out firsthand. These things are not new. These aren't new. There's nothing happening new here. It's just different. Different. And Minneapolis, in its own weird way, is more than certain different. They are indeed. Here's one that I liked over the weekend. Did you see the viral video that Trump put out of he's doing an IndyCar race around the Capitol this summer called the Freedom 250, celebrating 250 years in America. It's just incredible. I love this, and I'm so excited. We were talking with some friends over the weekend about how cool this race is going to be and some of the things we're going to be doing this summer. It can't get here fast enough. The patriotic stuff, America 250, whatever it may be, we need to get it there. And, you know, this ICE thing has become, they're not doing anything different in Minneapolis than they are anywhere else, folks. They've done this in Kansas City. They've done it elsewhere. ICE is all over. They are finding criminal illegal aliens. They are rounding them up. They're giving them more due process than I would. I'd just fly their butts home. I'd put their name and information in the database, say you can't come back in, and I'd just send them home because I know enough. I don't need a judge. It's just ridiculous. Just get them out of here is the way to do it. And that's about a 75% issue in this country. Even Democrats believe that illegal aliens that have committed a second crime, the first being coming in illegally, that they've committed a second crime, need to be deported. We've seen the unbelievable drop in violent crime in 1 year of Donald Trump. Murders last week reported all-time low since 1900. Carjackings down 61%. These are in America's 40 top cities, biggest cities. That's where that's happened because we've cracked down on it. I still don't think we even know the scope and the vast number of criminal illegals that have been among us committing all these crimes. You cannot argue that these statistics are just plummeting. The drugs aren't coming in. I mean, it's getting cleaned up. I guess the more amazing part is that some of these criminals know that there's going to be a knock on their door someday. Why haven't more of them left on their own? Why don't they find a way out? Are they afraid that if they go to collect their $2,600, they're going to be in the database, they'll be picked up for another crime, and then they won't get it? That's probably it. But maybe we ought to offer the $2,600 even to people that have committed crimes and say, listen, we're just going to get you out of here. If you come to us, no questions asked, no matter what you've done, you're out of here. Now, if you know you've committed a heinous crime and you're trying not to get caught for it, you can at least get a free passage to somebody else's country. I'd be for that. Just get them out of here. I don't really want to pay for them to be in jail the next 50 years, which we would be. Just get them out. Get them out. Okay, more good news here. There are a couple of local athletes that have hit the big time that I'd never heard of until this weekend at all. Caleb Furnell is from Lee Summit West. He's 24 years old, and he's on the American bobsled team. He qualified this weekend, called his mom in tears. He's only been bobsledding for a year. It's not like he grew up in Kansas City and Lee Summit bobsledding. Is there a Lee Summit bobsled team somewhere I don't know about?
I don't think so.
Right. So I think he was trying to find his sport, I think is what happened. Because he has said, I've been preparing for years as an athlete, winter sports. I think he probably can skate, maybe played some hockey, those things, but has tried to find what he's really good at. And apparently just about a year ago, he tried out for bobsled, and a year later, he's made the team. Way to go, Caleb. We'll be watching, and we wish you certainly the very best. There's a basketball player named Keaton Wagler from Shawnee Mission Northwest. Mark, I'm certain you saw this over the weekend.
Oh, yeah, the Illinois kid?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Had you heard of Keaton Wagler before this?
I had, because he was getting, or the KU and K-State coaches were getting roasted for not getting him.
Okay, that's how you
where I
heard
saw
of him.
Yeah.
Right. I didn't go to one of his games. Did he
No.
play? Your school's Olathe East?
I went to Olathe East. I'm in the South area.
South, okay.
So.
But were you aware that Northwest ever played them and he had a great game or anything like that?
Not particularly.
I never heard of him.
I knew that Northwest had a really good team. I didn't
Shawnee
realize.
Mission, yeah, Shawnee Mission Northwest. And so this Keaton Wagler's not recruited by KU or K-State.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I also read somewhere that it's possible Brad Underwood, the coach at Illinois, knew his family originally from like McPherson or something, and maybe there were some ties, so maybe you didn't recruit because you're like, Underwood had him. I don't know. But I don't remember the buildup. He's a freshman, folks. He scored 46 points Saturday in a college basketball game. Illinois beat number 4 Purdue. This young man was 13 out of 17 from the field and 9 of 11 from 3 in 39 minutes. It's the game of the year. That's the single best individual game by any player this year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's crazy. There's been some crazy freshman performances, too, even this weekend, but he had the best one.
Shawnee Mission Northwest.
Yeah.
What? That's nuts. That's crazy. And watch what you eat when you go mushroom picking. Now, we don't do that right now because it's winter. And I've heard people talk about these morel mushrooms.
Yeah.
People love them, right?
Mm-hmm.
$60 a pound. They hunt them, and if you find them, people sell them. You can make a lot of money. You can't really grow them because there's some sort of relationship they have to a tree, and it has to be special lighting or something and shade and water, and I don't understand any of it, but you can't really farm them. Well, in California, people go pick mushrooms all the time, and they probably should stop. In California, they have something called a death cap mushroom, and it looks like mushrooms you can eat. And right now, there's an epidemic in California. 3 deaths, 3 liver transplants, and 35 people hospitalized from age 19 months to 67. These folks are picking these things in the wild and eating them, thinking they're safe, and they're not. They destroy your liver, and it can go fast if you don't get help. And they are literally called death cap mushrooms. You eat the cap, you die. And people in California now, I think, know it's getting out there. I knew there were poisonous mushrooms. You could eat them and get sick. Did you know there were mushrooms could kill you?
I did not. I stay away from mushrooms generally anyway, but
yeah,
now for sure.
Aren't they a fungus?
Yeah.
Are mushrooms a fungus? I think they're a fungus, right?
Yeah, I think so. That's why I stay away from them.
My whole life, I've thought stay away from fungus.
Yeah.
Any way you can. So mushrooms, not my big thing. All right, we come back. We got a lot of great sports to talk about with Mark. He's so excited about the Seahawks in the Super Bowl. We'll get into just a little bit of the KU-K-State game that happened on Saturday. What a beatdown. And Missouri had a double buzzer beater. It's next on Uncanceled. Your 47th president, the great Donald J. Trump, has just posted on Truth Social that Tim Walz has called him waving the white flag. They want to work together and end this. Here we go. This is the best thing you're going to hear all day. From Donald J. Trump, Governor Tim Walz called me with requests to work together with respect to Minnesota. It was a very good call, and we actually seem to be on a similar wavelength. I told Governor Walz that I would have Tom Homan call him and that we are all looking for any and all criminals that they have in their possession. The governor very respectfully understood that, and I will be speaking to him in the near future. He was happy that Tom Homan was going to Minnesota, and so am I. We've had tremendous success in D.C., Memphis, New Orleans, and virtually every other place that we have touched, and even Minnesota. Crime is way down there. Both Governor Walz and I want to make it better. President Donald J. Trump. So that's exactly right. So Walz is going to turn over all the criminal illegal aliens. He's going to allow access to ICE into facilities where these people are and where they are, and they're going to allow it instead of interfering. That should have been from day one. None of this would have happened. None of it would have started. You have no jurisdiction over those people. These are federal crimes. This is immigration. It's very clear in all of our laws and the Constitution that belongs to the federal government. That's why ICE was created. Both parties voted to create ICE. Every law on the books, both parties voted for. We have good laws in America. We need to follow them. And now Tim Walz is saying, we're going to turn these people over to you if it means we can de-escalate this stuff in Minneapolis. So good stuff right there. Mark Van Sickle has his Seattle Seahawks stocking cap on today. What a show. That was quite a game, man.
That was fun. That was, I would say, I know you can't call the Patriots out yet, but I think that was the Super Bowl before the Super Bowl.
I thought that going into yesterday that the NFC team's going to be a huge favorite no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't like Denver anyway, but I'm really glad Denver's not in the Super Bowl because with the backup quarterback, I want a good Super Bowl. I think the Patriots and Drake May can give Seattle a game.
Mm-hmm.
They're a good team. These are two well-rounded teams that don't do anything poorly.
Mm-hmm.
And their quarterbacks, Darnold just was a freak yesterday.
Yeah.
I can't believe how good he's become. But Drake May's had a good year too. Yesterday was a whole different deal in Denver. You can't judge those stats. That was just a weird thing. Seattle's a 4.5-point favorite at FanDuel?
Yep.
Okay, that sounds about right to me. I was guessing 4 when they ended yesterday, but the Super Bowl is set without the Chiefs. What did you think of KU closing 27-7 against K-State on Saturday night?
I wasn't expecting that, just how they kept doing all those lob dunks.
I was expecting it.
You were?
I was expecting it.
Usually KU kind of lets up at the end, but they didn't in that one.
Oh, you haven't seen enough of Jerome Tang ball this year, baby.
Yeah, that's true.
And the Missouri Tigers, you know what? I was a little surprised Kansas celebrated so much.
Yeah.
From the win. They won like 30 years in a row in that building at one point, didn't they?
Yeah, these are all new guys, though.
I know. It seemed a little beneath where Kansas' stature normally is to worry about beating Jerome Tang, for crying out loud. 3 years in a row, he's not been in the NCAA tournament. Missouri had back-to-back buzzer beaters, one at the end of regulation and then one in overtime to beat Oklahoma. This is only the second time in the history of Division I basketball that's ever happened. Were you watching?
I wasn't. I saw the highlights right after it happened. It was impressive.
It was stunning. You want to hear my FanDuel moment?
Yeah.
I bet in-game Missouri -1.5. They were -5 or something for the game.
Uh-huh.
So I've kind of given up here at the end of regulation. They're down 3, and Pierce chucks the 37-footer. It goes in. I'm like, yes, I'm destined to win this. We're going to overtime. Then Missouri got a lead, and then they lost the lead. And then they came down and hit a 3-pointer at the buzzer in overtime to win by 1, and I lost my bet.
You were thinking maybe they'd get a 2 and send it to double overtime.
I needed double overtime. Oh,
so
what a
close.
bad beat. What a bad beat indeed. And Alex Honnold climbed the skyscraper in Taiwan. He's officially the craziest daredevil ever. If you haven't seen it, look it up. It's insane. Thanks for listening to Uncanceled on KCMO Talk Radio. The Vince Show is coming your way.